This is Actors Arrow. Learn from the industry's best. Actors Arrow, the podcast.
And hello, well, welcome to another episode of Actors Arrow. Today we've got joining us our guest, which is the amazing Kristen Hamill. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us for the show and adding some value to our listeners, all about the industry of the arts and the acting world. So there's kind of a bit of an overview of your background. So tell us how you got into the arts and what you're up to now.
Yeah, so I started my career as a print journalist many years ago now. And, always had a love for film as a kid growing up. I was the kid with the camcorder organizing the neighborhood kids and my sisters to get involved in different productions. But went into print journalism and then explored film from there. So I've been working as a producer and working in communications and marketing as well. And I run a little festival called the 48-Hour Film Project, which is a global filmmaking event that I've been running in Adelaide for the last 8 years.
So because I'm very familiar with the festival and been part of it a few times and absolutely loved it. Tell us more about the 48-Hour Film Project.
Yep. So it is a film festival and competition where competitors have exactly 48 hours to make a film from start to finish. So they get a line of dialogue, a prop, and a character that has to be in their film. The competition runs over a weekend. So on the Friday, they get all of the elements that have to be in their film. And they also get a genre. So there's one of 30 genres that they could pick. And then they run away, make their films, and turn it in on the Sunday. So it's exactly 48 hours from start to finish. And we screen all of the films locally, and there's a international competition as well.
Oh, so if you win your local area, then you can possibly win the big prize?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So that's usually in the US or in Europe.
Oh,
and
wow.
then the top films from that go on to screen at the Cannes Film Festival, which is amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
the top 10 films from there go on each year to screen.
That's a big deal.
It's huge. Yeah. So your film that you create in just a weekend could be screening at Cannes.
That is a big deal. So, 48 Hour isn't just, the podcast is based in South Australia, but this is a global,
Yes.
It's a global festival.
Yeah.
So how can people, if they're listening, not from South Australia, but from around the world, how can they connect with the 48?
Yeah, so it's run in 130 cities around the world. So chances are it's probably being run somewhere where you live. So it's run in Australia, in Adelaide, Melbourne, and possibly Sydney this year. But people anywhere in Australia can participate in any city event. So the easiest way to find out what's going on near you is to go to 48hourfilm.com and check out what cities are nearby.
The reason why I wanted to get in the show is because the collaboration. We've talked about collaboration a lot here on the podcast. And I think the 48-Hour Film Festival is just such a great way to bring together creatives to actually make something. Because, sometimes in the industry, we're, a little bit all talk and we say we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And it doesn't necessarily happen. Whereas with this competition, you're in, you gotta make something. And
Yeah.
so what I love about it is, for my friends who are actors and also filmmakers, is that collaboration of coming together and just making something and doing it. And I love that, especially for someone who's already been in the competition as well. How do you manage actors or creatives coming together? Like, do you put an event on? Do you contact? Say, for instance, I was an actor and I reached out and saying, "Look, I want to be part of the festival this year, but I don't have a camera guy, I don't have an editor, but I want to do this. I want to be seen on the big screen because you do a screening of the films, which is awesome." How do they go about that process?
Yeah, so a lot of our filmmakers come together as groups, but they're looking for one or two different roles to fill within their team, or they're looking for talent. So what we do is we hold a few pre-competition events where people can get together, meet each other, make connections, and then form a team. And we also keep a database of people looking to join a team and actors looking to link up with a crew. So we facilitate a lot of the team building there. But the great thing about the 48 is that it is one of those events that really connects creatives in Adelaide. So really encourage anyone, even if you're not, a quote unquote filmmaker, you haven't done your first project yet, get involved, come out to the different events, join our mailing list, because I just think, filmmaking isn't a solo sport. You've got to have your team around you. And this is a great way to meet people that are interested and just up for a challenge and something different.
I've heard some amazing success stories from the 48-hour film festival. From, as you mentioned, groups coming together and then putting a film together, actually thinking, "Hey, we're actually not a bad team. Let's do some stuff in the future." Does that happen often?
So often. So I think you and I talk all the time about the different success stories that have come out of the 48, and it's the thing that warms my heart each year that I do it. So there's been a lot of teams that have come to us as uni students, or they've just gotten out of uni, and they did it as a bit of fun, and then it's turned into this career launching platform for them. So people have either, started as a team and then gone on to launch businesses together, or do other short films or feature films or docos or series. So I think, that's the thing that I'm most proud about in terms of this competition, is how it's brought people together.
And it's definitely, like I said, definitely a launch pad, right? It's a launch pad for people to have a go, try, collaborate, meet, connect, and then move forward. The award I'd like to talk to you about in the festival is the Actors Awards, very prestigious, which is amazing for actors to get themselves up on screen. So let's talk about that a little bit. So when you complete the film, then what happens after you've submitted the film after the 48 hours? What happens next? Where this is the interesting part, I think, for you actors listening. What happens next?
So films are all submitted at 7:30 p.m. on the Sunday, and then our team goes away and edits the screeners, and all of the films, every single one of the films, even the ones that are turned in late, are screened. So you get to see the good, the bad, the interesting, everything in between, which is the fun of this competition, because everyone knows you've made the film in 48 hours, so it's not going to be perfect, but you'd be surprised at the quality of the films. They're just amazing. So there's a screener. Obviously all team members are invited, come to watch, invite their family, friends. We do a Q&A at the end of the screening with the filmmakers. And then we hold an awards night event for the films that have been nominated by the judges for an award. And that's usually a few weeks later. And then about 6 months after our competition is when the international competition happens. So the winning film from Adelaide will go on to screen there.
Wow. Because I've seen lots of, actually a few people that have trained with us at Type Talent have won the Actors Award with the festival. And what I love about that is because when actors are putting themselves into festivals, I mean, obviously it's for the film, to get the film up, but it's great. It's the most amazing feeling when you get an award for your talent, for your skill, for your truth in your performance. Has there been any films that are really memorable for you that you think, wow, that was an amazing performance from an actor and that was incredible and they definitely deserve to take that award away? And the other reason why you want to kind of get awards, not this all about adding to your ego, but it is good for actors to get them attached their credits, because it means that you've been acknowledged for something you're good at, and I think that's great. And so let's talk about a performance, maybe, if you can. I mean, you probably hundreds of films you've gone through, but is there anything in particular you thought wow, like this is a real standout performance from an actor or actress that we could give some feedback to people listening?
Yeah, I'm going to blank on the film name, but the film last year that won Best Actress, year before last, Ren Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was essentially a one-woman film, one-woman show that touched on the theme of the Me Too movement. And that was just such a powerful performance from Ren. And again, I think that the key with these films, from both the scripting, the acting, the whole production, is to keep it really simple. And those are the films that end up winning, and those are the performances that end up winning. But like you said, so many different films that come to mind. But yeah, that one really stands out as a fantastic performance, really strong.
Yeah, because it isn't a long time. I mean, we talk about actors having all this time to prep, for their backstory. And there is no backstory with this competition. It's like, you've got to be really in the moment of the truth of the character, what's going on right now, and, kind of scrambling as you go. Because I think generally, I could be wrong here, but generally on the first day of the festival, of the competition, that most people would do their filming on day number one, or they write their scripts Friday night when they get given their genre. Yeah. Friday night, they would start to write, develop, generally wait till Saturday morning to then start to film all day Saturday, maybe some pickups on Sunday morning, but then get editing and adding the music in, all that kind of stuff on the Sunday. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's typically how it goes.
Yeah.
So Friday night usually is an all-night writing session.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is the filming, and the smart teams will start editing Saturday night. That way, because all the pressure's on your editor, right? Like they're the ones that have to be exporting, getting it over the finish line for that 7:30 deadline. So, the big thing with the competition is that you can't do any creative work ahead of time. So you can't write your script, you can't be filming, you can't be editing. But what we do say to filmmakers is, the genres, there's 30 genres, they're on the website. You can start thinking with your team about stories that resonate with you, films that you've loved. What have you loved about them? Start coming up with a few ideas around that. And that will put you in a much better place in terms of getting ready for the competition. Get your locations sorted, get your costumes and your props sorted, and then dive into it on Friday. But again, keep it simple. A few characters in your story will make it so much easier for you for that 48-hour period.
Yeah, because I think all of us as filmmakers, myself included, back in my earlier career, you don't really understand the boundaries, and you're just like, I'm going to make this amazing film with 15 different actors, and it's good, and because you want it to be epic, right? And then you realize probably 3 hours in, oh goodness me, I don't think I can do this. Oh no, what have I committed to? And I think that's really good advice with this competition is really keep it simple, and have those. I mean, there's a friend of mine last year, the before, he had 15 locations lined up.
Oh god,
just in case any of them were any good for the genre that was picked out. Which is, I think, is pretty funny, because that's a lot of locations to lock in for a weekend, to try and match the genre, because that's what happens on part one, is when obviously you can pick out the genre of what you have to make the film, and that's kind of what you're judged on as well. Do you find that when people are reaching out, how many actors do reach out to you? Do you get maybe 10, 20, 30? How many times has happened where actors will reach out and say, hey, look, I'm put my hand in the air, I want to get connected? When does that how many times does that happen?
I would say at least 30 actors a year reach out to me.
That's a lot.
So that's the role that most reaches out to us in terms of wanting to connect with teams.
Wow.
So we do try and put a lot of emphasis on matching those actors with teams that are looking for talent. And what we do try and do every year is have a talent-focused night before the competition, where actors can come and do a little audition for the teams that are looking to cast roles. And that's a great way of connecting with teams if you don't have one already.
Yeah, because then you get to see them face to face, you get to meet, you get to network. Because not everything is always on digital platforms of connecting. So it's nice to do that face to face, get in there, see who's who, and definitely make those connections. Obviously, you've also done. I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. You've got quite an extensive career, but you also ran Channel 44 for a while, helped out there.
Yeah.
And so, what was that experience like for you when it's a local broadcasting?
Television
station. Thank you. Oh my goodness, man, I get stuck sometimes. Television station. I was waiting for you to jump in. Thank you. Television station here in Adelaide. What an experience that was. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Honestly, it's the best job I've ever had.
Really?
It was so varied and such an interesting time too for the sector. So Channel 44 is a television station here in Adelaide.
Thank you.
But it's also a local production house. So Channel 44 gets involved with quite a few different local events and festivals and things going on in Adelaide in terms of live streaming and producing local series and television commercials and things like that. So it's a production house. And it's also a training ground for young people, well, actually any people, young people, old people, that want to get experience in the media industry. So it's those three things. So there's a lot going on there. And I should also say that we screen the 48-hour films on Channel 44 after the competition too. So if you're flicking through Channel 44, chances are you might see a 48-hour film in there. So my time there was amazing. It was hard work. It's a small team, so we're, now it's a team of 6, I believe, and quite a few different volunteers and interns that work there as well. But at the time that I was there, Channel 44 and the wider sector was going through a difficult time with the federal government advocating to keep their broadcasting license, which was something that the government decided community television no longer needed back in 2015, and that the sector should move online. So we spent a lot of our time lobbying to keep that, because it's such an important resource for the community and for, you know, filmmakers, actors that want to be seen on a local platform. So yeah, went through quite an interesting time lobbying for that, learned a lot about government and putting together an advocacy campaign. And yeah, and luckily last year they had their license extended for another 3 years, which is fantastic.
That is, yeah, I mean, if you're in Adelaide, you will know us talking about this. This is such a huge part of the arts community, and yeah, we're so lucky to have Channel 44. I really believe that, and I know that so many creatives try to get their work on there, and they're very approachable.
Very.
You know, and whether you're a filmmaker or you're an actor. And I know they're always looking for presenters, for shows. So that's a really good opportunity for people to connect with them and say, hey, look, you know, I'll put my hand in there to do any presenting work or training presenting. I've seen that come quite a few times where they're looking for presenters of shows that they're commissioning. And so that's a great opportunity. So it's right on our doorstep here. And I think you should access that as much as possible because it's here. Why would you not?
Exactly. It's so easy to get involved. There's so many ways to get involved as well, whether you're working in the office, just getting some more experience in how the background of a TV station runs, or putting yourself forward as a host, or even pitching an idea for a show to the station. They're always looking for new content, or if you've gone out and filmed a short film or a series off your own back, that might be a great place to start in terms of getting it seen by a wider audience.
Yeah, so any actors out there listening, get yourself some filmmakers and make a film, and then you get yourself on television. You can say, "I did it.
Exactly.
I'm on TV. I did it, Mum."
So do the 48 to get on the big silver screen, and then submit it to Channel 44 to get on the television.
There we go. A double win.
Exactly.
So what does your future look like now? What are you doing at the moment? What's your future look like in the creative space?
Yeah. So obviously the 48 hour is a big thing for me. It's coming up again in September. So that's a yearly thing that I put a lot of time and effort into, and we just love to see it grow as well from there. My personal passion is documentary. So I will always be involved in that space. I do have another full-time job in the communications and media production space as well. So fingers in a lot of pies, and I'm just one of those people that constantly gets involved in new projects, and I can't say no to new things. So who knows where I'll be this time next year.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
I love it.
We say on this podcast it's about being greedy.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's about being greedy. I think it's just that you want to have an opportunity to try different things and work with different people and learn new skills. I think the learning thing is huge. Like, learning is massive.
Yeah.
And so if you learn something from a conversation or working with someone, that kind of, that helps you along with your next project or what's going on in the future with you. I mean, I don't know this. Actually, I mean, we're friends, but I've never asked you this. Have you ever directed something yourself? Have you directed like a short film or done any direction, or is it more the producing side of things for you?
Do you know I've never directed anything narrative? I mean, I've produced quite a lot of factual content, but never directed. It's something that I haven't thrown myself into. So maybe that's the next thing that I do.
I reckon you'd be great. I reckon you'd be a great director.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think you should. I reckon this year, don't run the 48-hour film festival. Give it to someone else and you have a team in there.
Oh, well, I have to wait 3 years.
Oh, really?
Because I know all the secrets.
Oh.
So I can't actually produce a 48-hour film.
Is that how long you have to wait if you leave?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Although I did do it before I came to Adelaide. That's kind of how it came about was, so I'm from Boston originally, and I had done the 48-hour with a group of friends for 2 or 3 years. We won it 1 year, and we got to go out to Hollywood, which is where the international competition was, which was a fantastic experience. We screened in the Chinese Grauman Theater. And that alone is a huge thing. So that's kind of why I brought it to Adelaide, because of the experience that I had.
Yeah, because I'd actually heard of it before when I was here in Adelaide, because I moved here 12 years ago. And I saw my friend doing it in South Africa, and I was like, "Well, that's a cool competition." And then the first few years, obviously, it wasn't happening here. And then you brought it to Adelaide, and I was like, "Yes, you've got to get involved in this," because I'd seen so many photos and like people talking about it. And so I'm so glad we have it here, because I really do believe. And please don't take this the wrong way, because that competition is amazing. But I think what what it does afterwards is amazing even more because of the collaboration that people meet and connect as well. And that's what this industry is based off. We know that it's based off of relationships and meeting people and growing your database of who's in the industry, which is for me is what it's all about. So I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to answer this one, but we always end the show this way.
Okay.
And I always ask the person in the hot seat, as we call it, what they think is a great actor. Okay. So what they think is a great actor. So, and that could be from your point of view. That can be from the experiences you've had. You can take a moment to take a deep breath.
What
and think
makes a great actor?
What makes a great actor? What makes a great actor? You might have heard it from other directors or other creatives, but for you personally, what do you think makes a great actor?
Speaking as someone that hasn't had any formal acting training, what I would think is an empath makes a great actor. Someone that's really in touch with their emotions and can put themselves in someone else's shoes, maybe in a situation they haven't experienced before personally, but can actually place themselves there and really bring to life what that person might be feeling. That's what I would say, an empath, someone that's really in touch with that side of themselves.
I think that
what do you think?
I think that's a great answer. Okay. I think that's a great answer. And thank you so much. That's all we've got time for today, unfortunately. Just it goes so quickly, doesn't it?
It does. Well, thanks for having me. It's been great to chat.
Absolute pleasure. And if you want to give the 48-hour plug one more time, if anyone is listening from anywhere around the world and wants to connect with the 48-hour, give us the website again for us, Kristen, and then we'll say goodbye.
So it's 48hourfilm.com. And if you're in Adelaide, put a /Adelaide on that. So it's coming up 24th to 26th of September this year.
And I would say 100% get involved in this one. You will not regret it. All right. Thanks ever so much, everyone, for today's podcast. And thanks again to Kristen for coming along. And we'll see you next time for Actors Arrow. Thanks. Bye.
This is Actors Arrow. Learn from the industry's best.